Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all again. Okay, we're gonna leave you now with David Hisaya Asari, who's gonna kick us off.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the DEC, welcome wherever you are in the world. As Alberto mentioned, my name is David Hisaya Asari. I'm here in Oakland, California. I'm a recent DEC steering committee member and graphic design faculty at California College of the Arts. It's so great to see all of you here right now. Soon you'll be hearing opening remarks from your amazing conference co-chair, Liese Zahabi, who will then introduce the rest of the opening program. But before that, we'd like to take some time to offer a land acknowledgement statement. These words, which are adapted from California College of the Arts Land Acknowledgement, was collectively authored by the Decolonial School in dialogue with CCA's Indigenous consultant, Canyon Coyote woman, Sayers Roods. Here's our statement. We are located in Huichin and Yalamu, also known as Oakland and San Francisco respectively, on the unceded territories of Chochenyo and Ramaytush, Ohlone peoples, who have continuously lived upon this land since time immemorial. We recognize the historic discrimination and violence inflicted upon indigenous peoples in California and the Americas, including their forced removal from ancestral lands and the deliberate and systemic destruction of their communities and culture. We honor indigenous peoples, past, present, and future, here and around the world, and we wish to pay respect to local elders, including those of the lands from which you are joining us virtually today. If you are unsure of whose land you are currently residing upon, we encourage you to visit native-land.ca. So there's the statement. And some of you may know that land acknowledgements are living documents, and they're subject to change and hopefully mindfully updated as needed. But more importantly, what they address are living histories that go back through millennia, affecting the current descendants of indigenous people who were the first stewards of the land. It's important to, land acknowledgements are living documents subject to change and hopefully mindfully updated. They address, what they address are living histories, and they affect the current descendants of indigenous people. And for us, it's important to understand the specificity of who is being addressed and where the lands are located. That's why I spoke specifically about San Francisco and Oakland. The challenge is, how can we take these words to heart, to care enough to respond and actively engage and not only passively acknowledge? Ask questions, have uncomfortable conversations, amplify voices of indigenous leaders and community members, seek out information and resources in your areas, territories, regions, states, and nations to see what you can do in support of righting these wrongs. These are histories of hundreds of years of disrespect and destruction and death, heartbreak, violence, and betrayal, of dishonor and tyranny and devastation, acts of erasure and displacement and denial and suppression and eradication and unmooring. It's important that we remember and honor that which has been taken and forsaken of indigenous generations of great legacies and stories, of ancestors and traditions and customs and languages, of beauty and joy and ceremony and rituals and celebrations, of connections to the earth and the natural world, of dreams and opportunities, of spirituality and beliefs. In hearing a land acknowledgement like this, how can you and I go beyond the sometimes performative and seemingly rote recitation and commit to action? We need to examine We need to examine the context of where and how we exist in the present, informed by consciousness and awareness of the past and understanding of these lands and their rightful stewards, to determine what we can take upon ourselves, individually, collectively, and institutionally, to do something as educators and learners, as citizens and activists and human beings, through collaborative partnerships and community service in support of indigenous communities. And now, here is conference co-chair Liese Zahabi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. That was such a beautiful way to start our session. So thank you for joining us and for doing that. It means a lot. I am Liese Zahabi, as David just said. I'm an assistant professor at the University of New Hampshire here in Durham, New Hampshire, up at the top corner of the US. And I'm just so pleased that all of you were able to join us. I am a light-skinned white woman. Today, I am wearing a bright plaid dress with a black blazer. I have long brown hair with very heavy bangs, and I'm wearing black glasses. And I'm sitting in my office at my home. So hello, and welcome to the ShiftED Summer Summit. We are thrilled that all of you have taken time from your precious and short summer weeks to come join us here. And for those of you joining us from the future by watching this as a recording, we welcome you as well as you time travel on a very small scale. This session serves to kick off the summit, to frame our time together just a bit, and to hopefully generate some excitement for everything that you will see and hear and learn and share over the course of the next week. The term watershed has three meanings. Originally a geographic concept, it generally refers to an area of land that drains into a single river or water source. But it can also refer to a ridge of land that sends water into two distinct flows on either side. It is this second concept that results in the third meaning of watershed as it relates to history and time: a watershed moment, a dividing line, a turning point. This past year and a half represents such a time in history, a watershed moment that will forever stand out, a bright, visible line in our cultural record. This moment affected everyone on the planet in some way and made a significant and perhaps indelible impact on educators and learners in particular. There is an undeniable sense of before and after when it comes to the pandemic and the other heavy, momentous, unforgettable events of 2020 and 2021. We are witnessing alterations to the ways we approach our conceptions of time, to our understanding of social connection, and to our expectations regarding diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and justice. Last year, the AIGA Design Educators community organized the Shift Summer Summit to explore the ways educators were shifting within and amidst this watershed moment, pivoting and changing course, even while the world was rapidly changing around us. The DEC wants to return to these themes exactly 1 year later, today, to find out how we have shifted, if we are still shifting, and the ways that we must continue to shift. Have we gained new perspectives and tools to adapt to these new situations? Are we still in the middle of this relearning and adjustment? Are we floundering, barely keeping our head above water, wondering how others seem to be floating safely past in a boat or on a raft, or even just hanging onto a life preserver? Or perhaps like me, you are experiencing all three of these depending on the day or week or situation. Shift and ShiftED have been real labors of love. What started out as a fairly straightforward idea by Alberto Rigau to hold some kind of virtual conference for educators last spring has turned into a vibrant community and a series of panels and sessions that design educators from all over the world have helped to organize, participate in, view, and share. Both Shift and ShiftED have been 100% organized and built by volunteer labor. Generous members of our community who have donated their precious time, their hard work, and their expertise to help create the parts and pieces that will make up this week and made up Shift as well. Because of this generosity and willingness to collaborate, we've been able to keep Shift and ShiftED completely free and open source to everyone in the design education community. I would like to take a moment to thank the members of the organizing committee, Katie Kirchmerich and Victor Dávila, along with help from Natalie Tyree, Meena Khalili, Megan D, Rebecca Tegmeyer, and Kalina Sales for all of their efforts to help build and shape ShiftED over the last several months. And a special shout out to Allie Place for refreshing the branding and designing the original branding for Shift, and to Anne Salmon for designing some of the graphic elements and creating our awesome animated video bumpers this year. Together with all of our incredible panel organizers, panelists, and community volunteers, we were able to create what should hopefully be a memorable and meaningful week. And to my partner in crime, my glasses twin, my design soulmate, my fellow octopus, Alberto Rigau, thank you. It was not my intention to agree to do this again, but your willingness to jump in the water a second time and make exciting things happen for the benefit of our amazing community was irresistible. My husband may never forgive me, but I'm so very glad we did this, and I'm so glad we did it together. Alberto has remained behind the scenes, doing all the crucial yet invisible tasks, from building our mind-blowing event schedule on Apple Numbers, to creating many of the parts and pieces that will make this week run, to scheduling all the Zoom links, to creating name badges for all of our speakers and volunteers. None of this would function or be as fun and impactful if not for Alberto, who remains one of the very best humans on the planet. Alone, I am one educator, and I can do pretty incredible things. I can share my knowledge with a room full of students. I can empower them to make things. I can encourage them to create work that contributes to the world in a meaningful way. I can make an impact. But alone, I am still just one single star, one tiny flickering point. I can only shine so brightly. Together, we are an undeniable force, a tribe, a community of educators, and we can change the world. We can lift each other up, share our expertise, build a renewed and revised discipline, and give agency to design students all over the globe who do not look exactly like those found in the discipline a generation ago, or even 10 years ago. Together, we are a juggernaut. We are unstoppable. We are inevitable. Together, we are a field of stars, lighting up the night sky, guiding the way for those in the dark just behind us, and for those behind them. We can change the world, but only if we work together. I hope that you will join me as we connect and collaborate and conspire and challenge and chat, and perhaps even complain, and change together, shift together over this next week and month and year and decade into the foreseeable and unknowable future. Let's set the night sky on fire with our brilliance. Thank you. All right, well, thank you. So now I have the honor of introducing Ashleigh Axios, President of the AIGA Board of Directors, and Bennie Johnson, the AIGA Executive Director. Both of these humans, along with the team at AIGA National, have been incredibly supportive of our efforts in creating Shift and ShiftED, which we very, very much appreciate. So thank you so much, Ashleigh and Bennie, for taking the time to join us today. And I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Liese. You've got me a little bit choked up. That was beautiful. I appreciate your words so much, as I'm sure we all do. Please keep sending the love throughout the community. And hello, everyone. It's a delight to be with you today, to see both kind of familiar names and faces and so many exciting new names and faces as a part of this group this year. I'm in awe of each of you. Design educators, you serve and support so many people in your day-to-day lives. You carry a responsibility that itself can feel incredibly weighty, to create learning environments, build a passion for education and learning in others, construct meaningful educational experiences, and adapt the ways that you're doing those to the times that you're in. Preparing students for an ever-changing future and profession on the fly. And as Liese mentioned so beautifully, giving agency to students around the world, really putting the attention to diversifying and making the field more inclusive and accessible over time. And there's so much more. I know I'm just barely scratching the surface, and I'm so glad that you're going to be diving into each of these topics in depth as a collective over this period together. And I just want to highlight, I'm sure you'll be talking a lot about it, but you've done all of this, of course, over the course of a pandemic that is still continuing during a chaotic time of disruption and adaptation. Of course, the name of this conference is so apt. It's very well chosen. But you are an example of what's possible. Today, you've come from around the world, different time zones and regions and cultures and communities, and you'll be working together to share your perspectives, support, resources, and to build an understanding of where design, education, and its various communities and schools of thought to build more shared understanding across each of those. Each of you here, in case you don't hear this enough, I feel like there's not enough support across the group and you can always use more. You are each critical participants in this event and work, and we so appreciate you. You've come together with a spirit to create and build based on what's been, but also what can be, that possibility. You've come with openness and thoughtfulness, bringing diversity of thought and experience to bolster and supplement individual understandings. And I'm so thrilled to see each of you here. So on behalf of AIGA's Board of Directors, I'd like to thank you for joining and thank AIGA DEC, the fantastic organizers who've done this entirely out of a labor of love, if you're not familiar, for kind of creating this invaluable forum that you'll get to enjoy increasingly as time goes on here. So as you engage with one another, I hope you'll find also a deeper connection to AIGA as a professional community that cares about you and the work that you do day in and day out, and that we'll be able to work together to advance design as a craft and advantage and a cultural force that is really global, that will build those connections together. And now it's my pleasure to kick things off over to, or to pass the mic, I guess, so to speak, to AIGA's fantastic Executive Director, Bennie F. Johnson.
Thank you, Ashleigh and David, for such wonderful words to start. Thank you, Meena and the DEC, Alberto, Victor, Liese. It's hard to go number 6 after all the wonderful words and spaces that you have. I will never forget you for making me go number 6. This has been incredible for me. And my sincere thank you to everyone. I want to just say these words. What a difference a year is made. What a different year was made. What a difference we all have made, and how a year has made us different. Just the turn of those phrases really speaks to this moment. We gathered here last year, same spot, I'm in the same chair as many of you, not knowing, but promising each other that we would shift forward. I remember that experience last year where we all bound together, we were excited, nervous, admittedly scared, not knowing what was happening, but we promised each other we would shift forward. And here we are again, back in the same space, understanding that we have both a commitment to each other, to our students, to education, and to our community that will continue no matter what to shift forward. So I'm delighted to welcome you all on behalf of AIGA, our Professional Association for Design. I want to thank everyone for the tireless work and the ideas and energy. One of the just authentically wonderful parts of my job has been this last year and a half, spending time with the design educators community. I've said before why these things are so important for me. I am the son of an educator. My dad spent time volunteering on his university board. It's how I grew up understanding service. My mom has been an educator for almost 50 years. And so for me, I've grown up with the heart of an educator. So in this space, this is why this becomes more meaningful, because for me, education has always and will always mean empowerment. And as we get ready for this week, where we'll have sessions on mentorship, on how we support each other, on how we support our students, on how we make anew, it all comes back to this power of education as empowerment. So Liese, I was going to end with that, but I think your expression today really sets it in the right path. Education is empowerment. It's brilliance in the sky set on fire. That image will always be with me. So I encourage you all as we go forward this week to set your brilliance in the sky on fire. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ashleigh and Bennie. It means a lot to have you join us today and to share those really thoughtful, insightful words. So thank you. So next, I get to introduce the indefatigable, the incredible, the delightful, really, I don't have enough superlatives to do these two justice, co-chairs of the AIGA DEC Steering Committee, Meena Khalili and Alberto Rigau. I am forever grateful for the leadership and open collaboration that these two bring to the DEC and all of our efforts. A couple of really fantastic human beings. Please take it away.
Liese, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm going to share my screen. Give me just 1 second. All right. Alberto, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. My name is Meena Khalili. It's great to have you all here today. Thank you so much for being here. I am a designer, illustrator, and assistant professor at the University of South Carolina and the co-chair of the AIGA Design Educators Community alongside my colleague, Alberto Rigau.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. I think I did a little bit good last year because I was promoted to co-chair since we last spoke. But I've been on the job 5 weeks, so I hope not to screw it up in the next year and a half. For those of you who don't know me, I am a professional designer, educator, and parent of toddlers. You might see the toddlers during the week coming in and out. This fall, I will be teaching for Virginia Tech as I continue to dive into this community, learn more about it so that I can continue helping all of you develop. And I am more than happy to be part of this community and accessible to all via the Slack any time of the year, any ideas you have, but you're not sure how to communicate it to us, my message window is there. Just reach out and we can continue conversation.
Exactly. So you've just segued me into the Slack, Alberto. See, we work so well together. Throughout ShiftED, you will sort of be able to engage throughout our virtual summit with us, with each other, and interact with the steering committee and the community members on our Slack via these channels. They are categorized in community, research, and teaching, but there are also other Slack channels that you can dig into our Slack as well. And just to give you a little bit of a backstory on the DEC, it was established in 2004, and we, the design educators community, support the unique activities and responsibilities of design educators at the K through 12, non-traditional, undergraduate, and postgraduate levels in a wide variety of institutional settings.
Okay, so even though you've heard from a few of us today, our team is actually much larger and relatively new. So we want to take a second here to introduce some of our members, because the way the DEC roster changes, we have a new cohort that just began a few weeks ago. But it's important to know also that our individual efforts are actually grouped more or less by tasks or jobs that we are able to do so. So Meena and I are the co-chairs, but we have an incredible communications team right now, co-chair or co-directed or co-led by Natalie Tyree and Rebecca Tegmeyer. Kalina Sales, Ali Place, Karim Colley, and Jason Alejandro, and Ashley Harrison Doughty are all part of this team. This is the team responsible for the newsletters, for all of the content that you see pulling out, getting all the calls out in time. And these are the people who are actually active on behalf of our community on a day-to-day basis, because they are the ones serving as radars, finding out what's happening in the community so that we can highlight it and make it available. Now, in a recent role, because of the pandemic, we were able to accelerate and start doing virtual events much more. We now have Victor Dávila, who probably you all know from a bunch of different roles that he has in the design world, but he is actually going to be leading our virtual events team, at least for the next few months moving forward. You will be seeing us as the world reopens into a physical land of some sort. We will still be pushing virtual events because we found the inclusivity and diversity that we're able to assess this way is really, really important. And look out for Victor because his plan is totally incredible. Jason Alejandro and Katie Kirkmarek are actually going to be aiding Victor along with the rest of the team so that we can make these efforts come through. We want to introduce a new role, our community manager, Lisa Mercer. We still don't exactly know all the tasks that will involve, but right now Lisa is serving to get us all organized, get us all together, and get the important topics that the DEC needs to be talking about always top level so that we don't get diluted by day-to-day conversations. And finally, I don't want to leave out, we got to talk about Lishan Huang, who's our AIGA National Representative. Lishan's time on the AIGA National, part of it has to do with the DEC, part of it with Design Futures, which we'll talk a little bit more. And I almost forgot, my apologies, we do have a communications team. Right now, Lisa Zahabi and Kuya Shim, who just joined us recently, are part of this endeavor, who are responsible from a bunch of different initiatives that we'll talk in a second.
Publications team.
Oh, sorry, publications. Sorry, publications team.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, this is all a good point. So as you all see, it is a humongous lift. While we all have these roles, we do it all together. And so that leads me into how we meet these goals. The goals that the DEC offers, these empowering and enhancing the abilities of design educators and educational institutions, preparing future designers for excellence in design practice, design theory, and design writing. We do this in myriad ways. To meet these goals, we have several efforts such as Dialectic, so the AIGA DEC Scholarly Journal of Thought, Leadership, Education, and Practice. Our 5th issue, Volume 3, Issue 1, is in the editing stages now. And this year we are really thrilled because we were able to announce that through the support of AIGA National and in particular Bennie Johnson, Dialectic funding is secure for 2 issues every year for the foreseeable future. We are once again thrilled for that. And in fact, the call for submissions for Dialectic's 6th issue has just been announced today, so keep your eyes peeled for that as it comes down. So in addition to Dialectic, the DEC publishes our conference proceedings, Dialogue. Currently, the Shift 2020 conference proceedings are in editing stages, and we want to thank everyone who submitted to that. Congratulations to you all who will be published in Dialogue for Shift 2020. And please do keep Dialogue in mind as you move through the programming over the next few days for when the call for this conference proceedings comes forward. And Lisa's shaking her head. Yes. Additionally, our newsletter Decalogue, which Alberto did mention, comes to your inbox every month with content that our steering committee strives to ensure is relevant and engaging. If you are not a subscriber yet, you can subscribe by going to our website, scrolling down all the way to the bottom left, and entering your email to stay connected with us there. Next page. The DEC website also hosts a dense amount of resources, so many resources, in fact, it's become a joke among us all that what we do is we deal in resources. It is our honor and privilege to bring these resources to you. We are thrilled to be able to host them on our website. Please do check them out. Among them are our anti-racism, equity, and inclusion archive, our guide to internships, professional standards of teaching, NASED and promotion and tenure resources, and much more, such as the design writing resources from Design Incubation. We have a resource wiki from them there as well.
And then alongside the resources, we continue to maintain our online article series. We have Perspective and Reflections, Thoughts on Identity, Race, and Design Education, which was developed by Kelly Walters and Kalina Sales, as well as the Beyond the Bauhaus series, which was developed by Kalina Sales. It is important to remind the community that all of you are welcome to contribute to this series. And if you want to, all you gotta do is fill out the Google form on our website so that you can contribute an article of your own. And then our website is just this portal that contains all of our content, everything from our newsletter, our articles, our virtual events. And this is the place that we would want the community to come to and also contribute content as well, because we want to make this a space where we can all meet and have the important, relevant content in the same place for everybody.
And in this time in particular, resources like the Design Teaching Resource, which is a peer-populated platform for educators to share assignments, teaching materials, outcomes, and project reflections, it has been an undeniable asset. If you want to know more about the DTR, please click on the Design Teaching Resource presentation by Annabelle Gould in the Shift schedule. It's there. You can watch it asynchronously. And if you're already familiar with the DTR, we hope you'll consider maybe submitting one of your projects or ideas while you're spending time with us during ShiftED this week. AIGA's support for design educators continues to be evident. We are extremely grateful for Lishan Huang, AIGA's Design Education Manager, who splits his time working on both design education and design futures, and who also developed the bumper music that you hear throughout Shift. But Lishan explores as well how design is changing as a discipline and profession, and how we face these opportunities as a community. His podcast, Design Future Now, tackles these questions and more with creative practitioners and industry leaders. And we want to make sure to mention this. It's wonderful content, and the URL is there at the bottom.
And then as we pivoted from last year, virtual events took a higher priority into how we started interacting with the community. You saw an uplift in workshops, mixers, roundtables, panels, all of them throughout the year. More recently this summer, we had a very successful summer book club initiated by Ali Place, which a lot of you participated. And more recently, we dived in a more alternative method of integrating with the community, where we now have Spotify playlists that you can use as you work and as you can engage while you are on the computer. And of course, let's not forget, as one of our last assets, we do have our YouTube page, which is now an archive of all of our virtual events that have happened in the last year and a half, and other videos as well. And we encourage all of you to come take a look, because the commenting there and the interactions have been fantastic as well.
So if you're wondering what you can do to get more involved with the DEC, you can start by following us on all the socials, right? We have representation on the big three that you're seeing here. AIGA DEC is on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and now we are also on LinkedIn. You can find us there and hit us up there. And of course, you can continue to engage with us on our Slack, the same one being used for this virtual summit, throughout the year. The DEC Discussions Facebook group is also a great place to connect. It's a group that's moderated. It's a hub of relevant design education conversation. And I just got back on Facebook after a very long hiatus, and it's been really wonderful to go back through there. There's so much good stuff in there, so I recommend you check it out as well. So it is our distinct honor and privilege to work on this content throughout the year. From the ShiftED Virtual Summit to our printed publications and online articles, the virtual roundtables, the workshops, online resources, and more, the Design Educators Community Steering Committee is excited about this work. We are thrilled to bring it to you. We are also a completely volunteer-run organization. So throughout the conference, you'll see this little green bar. And if you are so inclined and are able to do so and feel comfortable doing so, please consider donating what you can for this programming. And now, without further ado, on with the show. Thank you so much and enjoy the conference.
Oh, thank you so much, Alberto and Meena. That was really great. It's always nice to get that overview of all of the things that we do as really a pretty small group of design educators. I saw a lot of really great comments in the chat about all of the resources. So thanks so much for putting that together. So last but not least, I finally want to introduce one of our ShiftED organizing committee members, Victor Dávila, who helped to shape many of the sessions and ideas that make up our scheduling. Victor's also, as mentioned, the virtual events coordinator for the DEC. And what he's going to do is just briefly explain how ShiftED is structured and then talk a little bit about our virtual events. So Victor, please take it away.
Hello, my people. How y'all doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. We're so happy that you're here. As they mentioned, my name is Victor Dávila. I'm an associate professor at the University of Central Florida in sunny, somewhat Orlando, Florida. And I'm on the DEC virtual events team. Before I get into what we're going to be doing at ShiftED, I'd like to talk a little bit about the virtual team. Our team has been working hard to organize programming for the rest of the year for the education community that will educate and inspire. Upcoming event topics will focus on everything from highlighting teachers' successes to panels that will introduce new ways to tackle curriculum in and out of the classroom in both the K through 12 and higher ed platforms or areas, I should say. So I hope that you please join us after ShiftED and to the rest of the year for these virtual events. Also, before I get into the meat of the presentation, if you can let us know how you found out about ShiftED in the chat, just so we can know how the communication is getting out, whether you're seeing it on LinkedIn, whether you're seeing it on Twitter, or whichever way you're seeing it, it would help us in our promotions and how we communicate in the future. So I'm really excited for this week's ShiftED events. We have an amazing week of speakers, panels, and socials lined up for you that we know that you'll love. Make sure you follow along with us in the ShiftED schedule that has all the information there so that you can keep up what's going on. Is it going? There it goes. So we've designed, it's Zoom, right? We've gotten used to a year of randomness in the Zoom platform, right? So we've designed this week, well, so let me go back to my schedule. We've designed this week to be as accessible to you as possible. We'll be offering both pre-recorded and live events that you can take part of. Remember that Slack is our main command center, and that's where you can go to connect with fellow attendees. That's where you can get the links to all the talks, and that's where you can follow along the daily conversations. We have, as I was mentioned earlier, we have these channels broken up in every day that you can follow along with the exact programming that's going day by day. There you can find the introductions, the announcements, the conversations, the Zoom links, and a little bit extra, a little bit, little random conversations here and there, because that's the beauty of most conferences is not only the programming, but the communication that you have with the fellow attendees. We also have asynchronous consumption on YouTube, and everything that we're recording will be uploaded eventually, we promise, soon after on the YouTube channels, so that you can continue to rewatch it and continue to be re-inspired by all the contents of the speakers and panelists. I've already lost my thing, so I'm just kind of like winging it now. The events themselves will be largely on Zoom, and our recorded content will be posted on YouTube. And we will also be using a Miro board. That's something new this year, I believe, that we'll be utilizing in an effort to do some brainstorming and idea sharing within the community and get those ideas out there. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I'd like to remind everyone that the C in DEC stands for community, and we're really, really happy that you're part of ours. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone throughout the weeks, being able to have these awesome conversations and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. So seeing the time, we actually did just like to the second exactly what we were hoping to do for this session. And of course, now I'm going to talk for like just one more second. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this opening session. There is so much more to come for the course of this week. Victor did a great job kind of giving you the overview of where you can go to get your content. And today we actually have a couple of sessions coming up. So starting in about 15 minutes from now, we have a fantastic session coming from Louise Sandhouse and Briar Levitt and Brockett Horn and many, I heard special guests. And this is going to be Design History Emergency, Expanding and Preserving Graphic Design History in Our Own Backyard. So come hear all about the People's Graphic Design Archive and other things in that session. And then at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and I'm so sorry I can't do all of the time zone computations in my brain at this moment, we are going to have Lisa Gottfried, who's going to join us, and her session is called From International Connection to Interconnection, a Digital Design Educator's COVID Pivot. So that's going to be a really fantastic session as well. Please do come join us. And then tonight in Eastern time, we're going to have our first social mixer hosted by Alberto Rigau and myself. So this one's going to be an open social mixer. Please come join us and just chat, get to know some people, hang out. And then we're also going to have themed social mixers all week this week. So check the schedule for those. And of course, let me know if you have any questions. So I talked for 2 more minutes and I'm going to stop now so that we can all go take a break before the next amazing session. But again, thanks so much, everyone, for being here. We are thrilled and honored to have you all join us. And we're just really excited to get this thing started finally. So come back in 15 minutes and we'll see you all very, very soon.